In the year 2052, the world stood in awe of one man, Dr. Denise Skinner. A brilliant, composed scientist, he unveiled a miracle drug known as MAPPA. It cured every known disease, cancer, ALS, even genetic disorders, with no visible side effects. Humanity, ever hungry for salvation, embraced it blindly. In a matter of months, MAPPA spread across continents, transforming cities into hubs of health and hope. 3 years later, in 2055, Dr. Skinner emerged once more, not with celebration, but with a warning. Appearing on every screen, his face cold and expressionless, he delivered a message that shattered the illusion. MAPPA was a lie, a time bomb. In 30 days, every user would die, no exceptions. He alone held the cure, but he had no intention of saving anyone. His tone was not one of madness, but conviction. In his eyes, this was balance, a cleansing. Panic swept the globe like a plague. Hospitals collapsed under the weight of hopeless patients. Governments declared martial law. The gift of salvation had become a curse. In the shadows of this unraveling world, a secret task force stirred. Lazarus. Formed by a desperate coalition of global powers, this elite team was humanity's final gamble. Each member, hand-picked and broken in their own ways, had survived tragedy tied to MAPPA. Among them, a silent katana master from Tokyo, a sniper-turned-monk haunted by war, a cyber-enhanced strategist bearing the burden of lost comrades, and a hacker who once sold secrets to the same companies now fueling the apocalypse. Their mission: find Skinner, recover the cure, and stop whatever deeper plan he had set in motion. Their first lead took them to the burning shell of a biotech facility in Rio de Janeiro. Once a center of innovation, now a war zone. Inside, they encountered MAPPA's other legacy, deranged survivors, minds warped by the drug's final stage. The battle was brutal, and in the aftermath, they recovered fragments of data, and something worse, a recording of Skinner's voice. Redemption, he said, must be earned through suffering. Follow the path of the serpent. As the Lazarus team gathered in the smoke, one thing was clear: this wasn't just a manhunt. It was a race against time, against death, and perhaps against the twisted evolution of mankind itself. And somewhere far from the chaos, high in the Himalayas, Skinner watched the world fall apart and smiled. With Axel slowly regaining consciousness in a dimly lit room, his wrists bound and his head throbbing. Disoriented, he realizes he's been captured. Moments later, a screen flickers to life in front of him. Hirsch, a stern and calculating man, appears via video call. Without preamble, Hirsch informs Axel that he is now part of a covert task force known as Lazarus. The mission is critical: track down the elusive Dr. Skinner, the scientist responsible for creating MAPPA, and retrieve the only known cure before it's too late. Axel, still recovering from the drug's effects, is given no choice in the matter. Hirsch reveals that all Lazarus team members wear a special electronic bracelet. These devices allow him to deliver painful electric shocks remotely, ensuring obedience. The implication is clear: disobey, and suffer the consequences. The rest of the Lazarus team is introduced, a mix of skilled but morally ambiguous individuals, each with their own shady pasts. There's Christine, a former tactical operative; Douglas, a sarcastic ex-con with survival instincts; Leland, an ex-cop turned mercenary; and Elena, a brilliant but reclusive hacker with ties to the cyber underworld. Despite their differences, they share one thing in common: they've all been coerced into service. While scouring digital archives, Elena uncovers a key lead. 8 years ago, Dr. Skinner purchased a private survival shelter through a company that builds high-security underground bunkers. The timing and secrecy around the transaction raise suspicion. Believing this may be where Skinner is hiding, the team splits up to investigate multiple angles. Axel and Christine are assigned to inspect Shelter B12, one of the isolated bunkers in the desert, while Douglas and Leland travel to the shelter company's headquarters in Arizona to dig deeper into Skinner's records. Upon arriving at Shelter B12, Axel and Christine find the area abandoned and eerily quiet. As they move through the shelter's entrance, they encounter Kobayashi, a jittery and disoriented man clearly suffering from MAPPA withdrawal. He reveals that he came to the shelter seeking refuge from the world and from himself. Once full of hope, he is now a broken figure, addicted to MAPPA and on the verge of collapse. His presence hints that others may have followed Skinner's path, but it also adds to the growing chaos surrounding the drug's fallout. Meanwhile, in Arizona, Douglas and Leland find the company's main office deserted but oddly still operational. Files are active on computers, coffee sits fresh on desks. It's clear someone was there recently. Their investigation is cut short when armed men storm in, weapons drawn. After a tense standoff, it's revealed the intruders are debt collectors also searching for Kobayashi. They're part of a broader group trying to track down MAPPA users who owe money or have gone missing, underscoring the widespread desperation and panic caused by the drug. Back at the Lazarus base, Elena taps into a network of surveillance systems across the country. Suddenly, her screen fills with multiple facial recognition hits of Dr. Skinner. His image is showing up on security cameras in different locations simultaneously. Whether it's a false trail, a trap, or something else entirely, the stakes are raised. The episode ends with Hirsch watching silently beside her, as a countdown clock ticks ominously on a nearby monitor. 28 days left before the first wave of HAPNA users begins to die. The pressure is mounting, and time is running out. The Lazarus team reeling from a disturbing revelation. Dr. Skinner's face is appearing across countless surveillance feeds around the globe. But as Elena, the team's brilliant hacker, digs deeper, she uncovers the truth. These sightings are digitally manipulated. Someone is deliberately sowing misinformation, throwing them off Skinner's trail. To pursue new leads, the team splits. Axel and Doug head to Istanbul in search of Skinner's grandmother, Belinda, hoping she might offer insight into his whereabouts. Their journey leads them through a sprawling homeless encampment, where they meet Jill, a trans woman and respected community leader. Her conversation with Axel subtly reveals his deep-rooted empathy and long-standing ties with marginalized communities, adding a layer of humanity that underscores the show's commitment to inclusive and authentic storytelling. Elsewhere, Leland and Christine infiltrate Skinner's former residence, posing as cleaners in a bid to gather intel. Though their search yields little, their presence underscores the team's unwavering dedication and the risks they're willing to take to uncover the truth. Back in Istanbul, Axel and Doug eventually find Belinda. In a tender moment, she recounts memories of Skinner's childhood, including his love for baklava, a small but poignant detail. Though she hasn't seen him in years, she recalls a recent message he sent, filled with affection and regret. Axel, ever observant, discovers a hidden camera in her home. Skinner, it seems, is still watching over her from afar, a sign that he hasn't completely severed ties with his past. As the team reconvenes, Elena deploys a network of decoys in a clever gambit to flush out the hacker behind the manipulated footage. Her efforts pay off, inching them closer to Skinner and the truth behind his disappearance. Long Way From Home trades high-octane action for emotional resonance, delving into identity, belonging, and the emotional toll of scientific obsession. By centering on diverse voices and layered backstories, the episode enriches the larger narrative and sets a powerful tone for what lies ahead. The countdown to HAPNA's catastrophic activation ticks relentlessly forward. The Lazarus team follows a new lead, a concealed crypto wallet traced back to Sam Stevenson, a savvy stock trader who liquidated his holdings mere hours before Dr. Skinner's devastating announcement about HAPNA's fatal side effects. The evidence points toward insider knowledge, with one name surfacing through encrypted channels: Dr. 909, a phantom hacker cloaked in mystery. Intent on following the digital breadcrumbs, the team targets Sam's ostentatious nightclub, a neon-drenched fortress throbbing with bass, bodies, and indulgence. Knowing Sam's weakness for glamour and vanity, Christine and Leland craft a bold infiltration strategy. Christine, poised and enigmatic, will exploit Sam's well-documented attraction to beautiful strangers, while Leland adopts a flamboyant persona to draw his attention from another angle. Outside, Axel and Doug stand ready, eyes on the entrance, prepared to intervene at the first sign of trouble. Inside, the club is a fevered dream of strobing lights and hypnotic rhythms. Christine and Leland weave through the crowd, slipping seamlessly into the exclusive VIP section where Sam lounges, surrounded by excess. As anticipated, he makes his move, offering drinks laced with sedatives. But Christine, ever prepared, counters with quiet precision, and the air tightens with impending violence. The confrontation ignites with a cinematic ferocity. Christine's movements are a ballet of calculated strikes and fluid evasion, echoing the stylistic brilliance of MAPPA's kinetic animation and Chad Stahelski's precision choreography. The fight ripples across the club as chaos unfurls, drawing Axel and Doug into the fray. Axel's lightning-fast agility slices through the melee, while Doug's brute force anchors the skirmish in raw, deliberate power. Sam, ever the coward, bolts for a rooftop escape, where a waiting helicopter spins its blades against the night. But Axel, in a pulse-pounding leap, clings to the aircraft, forcing it back to the rooftop in a triumphant, hard-won takedown. Sam's capture yields only fragments of truth. Under pressure, he confesses to receiving tips from Dr. 909, a rogue cyber operative who breached Delta Medicinal's security to exploit the chaos for profit. But when pressed about Skinner's location, Sam remains maddeningly ignorant. The threads begin to unravel, suggesting that Skinner may not be the mastermind behind HAPNA after all. Something deeper, more intricate, is at play. As the dust settles, the Lazarus team gathers, not in triumph, but in reflection. The lead hasn't brought them closer to Skinner, but it has exposed the rotting underbelly of a pharmaceutical empire built on desperation and greed. HAPNA, once hailed as salvation, has become a weapon wielded by the unscrupulous. In a quiet corner of their headquarters, Elena deploys a series of digital decoys, setting traps for the hacker who doctored surveillance footage. Her strategy pays off, a crucial breakthrough that edges them closer to Skinner's trail. As the threat of the HAPNA crisis edges closer, the Lazarus team doubles down on their search for Dr. Skinner. Their newest lead takes them to Medicinal Delta, a sleek pharmaceutical giant known for its shadowy involvement in Hapna's creation. Axel boldly sneaks into their glass-and-steel headquarters, navigating tight security and engaging in a brutal, close-quarters fight inside a speeding elevator, his every move a blur of precision and strength. When Axel finally confronts the company's CEO in a stark, modern office, he uncovers an unexpected truth: Medicinal Delta is also desperate to find Skinner, racing to develop a cure before Hapna becomes unstoppable. This revelation sparks a risky plan, a public event where the team will announce a fake cure, hoping to lure Skinner out of hiding. But the staged event quickly unravels. Suddenly, the building's systems go haywire, lights flicker, screens glitch, and security locks toggle unpredictably. Popcorn Wizard, a notorious hacker, has hijacked the event, injecting chaos into the carefully crafted ruse. Elena, the team's tech genius, furiously traces digital trails and pinpoints a signal from Pakistan, but the hacker remains just out of reach. A mocking message flashes on the main screen, a stark reminder of the team's vulnerability. Beneath the surface, the episode reveals the emotional weight on the team, especially Axel, whose frustration simmers over the relentless setbacks and false leads. The appearance of Popcorn Wizard complicates the hunt, hinting that Skinner may have allies or that other forces are stirring in the shadows. As the team confronts enemies both physical and digital, they realize the battle is far more complex and dangerous than they ever imagined. A crimson sun rises over the shattered skyline of New Tokyo, casting eerie shadows across the debris-littered streets. The remnants of a society once thriving now stand frozen in time, like ghosts of a dream gone wrong. In the quiet aftermath of the last battle, the surviving members of Lazarus regroup in the husk of an old cathedral, what remains of their safe house. Dr. Skinner's serum continues to wreak havoc across the globe, reducing once healthy people into twitching, hollow-eyed shells. Time is slipping through their fingers. The team is tense. Max is haunted by guilt over his failure to protect the civilians in episode 5, and Sophia mourns the friend she couldn't save. Quietly, the weight of their mission begins to crush even the most hardened of them. Against this backdrop, a new threat emerges. A former ally, presumed dead, returns, but he's changed. Now a weaponized agent under Skinner's control, he launches a brutal ambush on the Lazarus team during a recon mission near the collapsed Shibuya terminal. The battle is fierce and emotionally jarring. This is not just an enemy, but a brother in arms lost to the darkness. As the dust settles, the team barely escapes with their lives, but not without consequence. Malik, the team's strategist, is critically wounded. His condition forces them to retreat deeper underground, to an abandoned AI laboratory, once shut down for ethical violations. There, the group uncovers classified data hinting that Skinner may not be working alone. Someone else is pulling strings from the shadows, and worse, the serum may not be the endgame. It's only the beginning. The episode ends with a quiet shot, a single lotus blooming through the cracks of shattered concrete, flickering in the moonlight, a symbol of hope, fragile but alive. But for Lazarus, the path forward only grows darker. Cold hum of forgotten servers pulses through the underground AI lab, their lights flickering like memories struggling to survive. With Malik still unconscious and on the edge of death, the remaining members of Lazarus are left scrambling for a way forward. Sophia pores over the corrupted data they recovered, decoding fragments that whisper of something called Project Helix, a name erased from every official record. Meanwhile, Max isolates himself, the guilt festering like an old wound. In a moment of vulnerability, he plays back a hidden message left by Malik just days before the ambush. The audio crackles with raw emotion, a confession, a warning, and a plea. It shakes Max to his core, reminding him that this fight isn't just about survival. It's about redemption. The lab itself is a relic of an era when artificial intelligence evolved too quickly, and human ethics couldn't keep up. In its depths, the team activates an ancient neural prototype, codenamed Echo. Though barely functional, Echo has access to fragments of global surveillance networks. With effort, it reveals a horrifying truth: Skinner has activated Phase 2. The serum was only a primer. The next wave is nanotechnological, a system-wide rewrite of human biology itself. Worse still, Echo shows them live satellite footage, a massive shipment of nanite dispersal drones heading toward Lagos, Johannesburg, and New Delhi. The timer reads 72 hours. Panic begins to creep in, but Dax, the team's quiet tech expert, finds a clue buried in Echo's logs, an old facility in the Arctic Circle. It was once used for AI fusion experiments. Skinner's digital trail ends there. They decide to move fast. But just as they prepare to leave, the lab's defense systems unexpectedly activate. A horde of dormant security drones, infected by Skinner's signal, springs to life, forcing the team into a close-quarters firefight in the narrow corridors. The battle is brutal, claustrophobic, and claustrophobically silent. No one speaks as the metal echoes ricochet like screams through the dark. When the last drone falls, the team limps back to the main chamber, bloodied and shaken. Max stares at the cracked screen where Echo's face used to flicker. The AI's final words before shutdown ring in his ears: "You must go where memory cannot follow. There, you will find the truth." As the episode fades to black, a slow pan reveals Skinner himself, standing inside a frozen lab, somewhere in the Arctic. Beside him, in cryostasis, lies a girl, unaging, unaware, and very familiar to Max. The icy winds howl like lost souls over the barren Arctic wasteland. Beneath miles of frozen earth lies Site A Omega, the hidden laboratory from Echo's final clue. As a blizzard rages overhead, the Lazarus team descends in silence, their airship cutting through white nothingness toward a truth too heavy to ignore. Inside the frozen facility, silence dominates. The halls are untouched by time, encased in frost and buried in a sterile cold. Yet something stirs beneath. The team's breath fogs in the air as they navigate dim corridors, guided only by the weak signal of Dax's scanner. Tension coils tighter with every step until they finally reach a sealed chamber, and there she is. Suspended in cryostasis, the girl in the ice lies motionless, serene, almost angelic. But her face is unmistakable. Max stumbles back, heart pounding. She's the same girl from his past, the one he lost during the first outbreak. But how? Why? Sophia scans the pod, and what she finds chills them all. The girl is not infected. She's immune, and her DNA is the original template for the serum. She is the source. Suddenly, the facility powers up. Lights flicker, vents hiss. They're not alone. Surveillance feeds flash to light, revealing Dr. Skinner watching from a remote location. His voice echoes through the chamber like a phantom. Now you understand. She is the key to the new species. What follows is a twisted monologue. Skinner sees himself not as a villain, but as evolution's architect. The serum, the nanites, even the girl, they are all threads in a design to remake humanity. And then the facility locks down. The Lazarus team is forced into a frenzied battle across icy labs and collapsing scaffolds. Sophia protects the girl's pod, while Dax hacks the lockdown. Malik, still weakened, returns to the field, but the memory of the girl he couldn't save, and the hope she might still be saved now. They escape, barely airlifting the cryopod into their ship as the lab self-destructs in a firestorm of white-blue plasma. As they soar into the black sky, the team stares down at the Arctic ruins, and up at the live satellite feed showing Phase 2 has begun. Drones are already dispersing nanites over populated cities. Time is gone. In the final scene, the cryopod hisses as it begins to thaw. The girl's eyes flutter and open. The hum of the ship is soft, almost reverent, as the cryopod finishes thawing. The girl, fragile, pale, wrapped in a blanket of steam, slowly awakens. Her eyes are wide, curious, and unafraid. Max watches in silent awe, as if seeing a ghost come back to life. The room holds its breath. She speaks, voice raspy but clear. Where am I? Her name is Lonnie, and she remembers everything. As the ship races toward their next destination, the team gathers to hear her story. Through fragmented memories and data retrieved from her neural chip, Lonnie reveals the horrifying truth. Years ago, she was one of the first test subjects of Skinner's Immortality Project. Chosen for her rare genetic resistance to disease, she was meant to be the prototype for a serum that could rebuild the human body from the inside out. But something changed. Skinner's obsession shifted from healing to control. When Lonnie resisted, she was put on ice. But it goes deeper. Lonnie wasn't just a test subject, she was once Skinner's daughter. Not by blood, but by bond. She was adopted into his care after her village was destroyed during the early biotech. Meanwhile, above the Earth, chaos unfolds. The nanite clouds released in Phase 2 begin to bind with human tissue, rewriting DNA in real time.